So Ted, we want to talk about closing costs, and I know you want to educate our listeners about closing costs. First off, what are they?
Sure. And closing costs can be anything that my fees potentially could be there.
So attorney
recording fees. Any. I think escrows are prepaid.
Taxes, insurance.
Yep, that's right. Taxes, insurance. And we're talking insurance. We're also talking not just the escrows, but also maybe the actual policy, the premium of the policy.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Lots of times we get questioned at the table, why are we paying this extra amount of money in our purchase? And I think they miss the whole idea that the goal here is to roll a certain amount of the closing costs into the purchase price to allow for financing for the long term, 30-year, as opposed to coming out of pocket with that money. A closing cost credit is just one of those things that you can do where you allow for that to be added to the purchase price so you can finance it over the long term of the loan.
Let's just say somebody is buying, say, a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 home, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. What are the closing costs, that you're seeing? Is it $5,000? Is it $10,000? Is it what are you seeing normally?
I have to defer to the Matt Bates of the world on the closing costs, because a lot of things you mentioned.
On average,
title insurance, probably $5,000 at least, right?
$5,000 on average.
Appraisal, all these things. Let's say pay it outside of closing. 10, even 10.
The one thing that I think is important to point out, though, is that depending on who you have on the other side, there's always that question that comes up about, if, let's say, you rolled, $10,000 in and your closing costs ended up being $5,000, what happens with the other $5,000? I'm not supposed to know anything about that conversation and neither is the lender, because, if whatever the closing costs are the closing costs, but that is something that has to be potentially hashed out during the process of getting to the table.
All right, so let's just say if somebody asked for 10,000 closing costs, they only need 5.
I'd reply with that.
What other items can you throw in there?
Well, it depends
on
home
warranties.
You could throw a home warranty. You could maybe throw in some points or origination
points
fees
to buy down the rate.
Right. Yep, sure. Like I said, previously, the premium of the policy, the owner's policy, the lender's policy, maybe even our fees could be thrown in there. Up to language is where that kind of protects the seller. Because the seller is then allowed a little leeway when it comes to the amount that was rolled in. So because if it says up to $10,000, but it happens to be $5,000 in closing costs that were able to be captured, then I guess the question then becomes,
seller gets the rest.
The seller gets the rest.
That's what it is. Those two words, up to. You want to make sure that you have a precise number, and the lender has to give you what they call truth in lending. They have to. Loan
estimate.
So your loan estimate already has their fees, and it has in it. They're only allowed to have a slight room for error in there. Right. Okay, so that no one is inflating fees or anything like that. So
and nowadays it's all pre-disclosed, so it's
everything
not,
is. Yeah.
So you got to get with your lender before you go out on the road to look for a property, and then you have an idea of ballpark what your closing costs are going to be.
Please go talk to them ahead of time.